test with a deck of cards. Now, Dan, you're going to take these cards in your own hands, and you're going to choose a card.
Okay.
And the way you're going to do is I'm going to hand you the cards. You're just going to cut them like this, and then you're going to just take the top or the bottom card and look at it and put it in the middle. Okay, let me just give them a shuffle before we even begin this. And Diego, give them a cut just so no one will think that we know where any of the cards are. And here, if you want to cut them a couple times first and then do that, that's fine with me. Okay? When you're ready, just take the top or bottom card off, whichever one you want. Take a peek at it and bury it right in the middle of the deck.
Okay.
Now, you've got that card in your mind?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'd like you to put it down on this piece of paper, write it in paper, and then fold it, you know, in half 2 or 3 times like that.
Okay.
Okay? Now, your job is going to be a little different, okay? Okay, let me just shuffle the cards up a little bit. What you're going to do is you're going to take, and you're going to pull out a bunch of cards from the center of the deck, and you're going to just look at, like you're going to pull a group from the center, you're going to look at this card on the face that you pull out and slap it right down on top of the deck. Okay? I'm not looking at you. Have you done that?
Yep.
Okay, and just set the cards down. Go ahead, put your card on this piece of paper and fold it up. And then what you're going to do is what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you just look at the cards. In other words, I'm going to take the cards and I'm just going to basically just go through the deck and just look at the cards and just think of any card you want, okay? Mm-hmm. Do you have a card in your mind? Mm-hmm. Okay. I need you to put that card on this piece of paper. You're only thinking of it, and close it up. You want to drop your paper right inside there? Okay. You've got yours folded up, and drop yours right inside there. You fold yours up. Now, so you, in a way, each one became progressively harder. I just want to fold that up again in half like that, so we'll just put this down here. Let me grab one, I think it's yours. Think of your card. Your card was a black card.
Yes.
Now remember, he actually touched his card. Your card was a black card. It was a club.
Yes.
Before I open it up, was it the Queen of Clubs?
Yes, it was.
Okay, very good. Thank you. You can give me a round of applause. There you go, Queen of Clubs. There's 2 in here. Okay, it just occurs to me that if I touch them, maybe you think that somehow I'm somehow conniving to open them up and see what's on them. Okay, so rather than do that, why don't you just not even worry about your cards? Just think of your cards. Okay. Your card, was it a red card?
Mm-mm.
It was a black card? Mm-hmm. Like a spade? Mm-hmm. Think of your card. Well, your card was a club. Was your card the Queen of Clubs? Or no, you thought of the Queen of Clubs. I'm sorry, getting mixed up between. Your card is the 5 of clubs. And your card is a spade. Remember, he only thought of his card. Isn't your card the 7 of spades? Yes, it is the 7 of spades. Let me, they're still off fold. Let me just double check everything here. There's your 5 of clubs over here. And,
That was 7. But it was 7 of spades.
oh, you didn't write down 7 of spades. You just wrote down 7.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but I still got it.
Read my mind.
Okay, good, very good. Thank you very much.
Let's talk about Al Baker's 3 billet trick.
Yeah, this is a very, very clever effect. I mean, a lot of people should probably, after they see this, start using it. It's this effective. And there's a couple variations we'll talk about in a minute. But basically, you need a stack deck.
All right.
Again, breakthrough card system here. 3 pieces of paper and a pen. And this is so clever. You take the deck out and show the cards to be all different. And I, after appropriate false shuffles and what have you, hand you the cards and say, cut the cards a couple times. And take the top card and take a look at it and bury it in the middle somewhere. Okay?
Okay.
Then I say to you, okay, write the name of your card down on this piece of paper and fold it in half a couple times.
All right.
I approach the second person while you're doing that, and I pick up the cards. And as I pick up the cards, I note the bottom card, which is the 9 of hearts, which tells me right away that your card is a 7 of spades because the deck's stacked. So I know that's a 7 of spades here. Okay? I shuffle the cards, bringing the 9 of hearts up to the top of the deck. So there it now is now on top. And I say to the second person, I want you to just pull a bunch of cards out of here, look at the face card of the group that you pull out, slap it on top of the deck.
Okay.
And in the meantime, instead of a hat, throw your paper in there, okay? And I just need to watch where it goes. This could be a cereal bowl or anything, any kind of container, okay? So take it, pull out a bunch, look at the card, slap it on top.
All right. Okay.
And then I say, write your card down on this piece of paper. So, I'm just going to move this. I'm going to get this over here for now, just to kind of keep it out of the way. So you're writing your second card down.
Now, do I fold this twice
and fold
also?
this twice and toss it in here. And all I have to do is I have to make sure I know which is which as you toss them in here, okay?
All right.
And toss it in there, okay? And now I say to the third person, I'm just going to take these cards, and I'm just going to fan them out, and I just want you to look at the cards and think of any card that you want.
Okay.
And as I saying that and fanning the cards, you see there's the 9 of hearts. That was the top card. So the second person's card I now know is the 9 of spades.
Right.
Because it's right to the above the 9 of hearts, which is of course where it would have put it.
Right.
So now I know card number 1 and card number 2. So I say just think of any card, and when you got the card, write it down here.
All right.
So now I know the first card is the 9 of spades, the second card is the 7 of spades, and I do not know what your card is.
Right.
And you fold it up and drop it in. And so here's what I do. I reach in, I palm the first person's card, and I come out with the third card.
The one that you don't know.
The only one I don't know, and I look at the first person and I say, okay, I think this is yours. Think of the card that you chose. Give me a second. Is it the, isn't it the 7 of spades? And you say yes, and I open the paper up and pretend to read 7 of spades, close it up, and as I hand it back to you, I do a switch.
Okay.
Now I know that the third person's card is the 2 of clubs, but I've done the switch. Then I come back over here and I say, you know what? People think that if I handle the papers, that maybe I'm doing something, so I don't even want to touch it.
Right.
Now, see, that's what's so good about this. At this point, I'm clean. And I can say to the second person, reach in there and take a paper out.
All right.
This is right out of the book now.
Okay.
And I say, is it yours? Open it up and just peek if it's yours.
Yes.
Okay, concentrate on your card.
Yes.
Is it the 9 of spades?
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I spectator number 2?
Yes, you're
Oh, then I would say no, it's not.
Okay, then I would say give it to the other person
All right,
and
so
then
it
grab
gives
the
it-
last one. That must be yours.
Okay, gotcha.
And then I'd say, okay, open it up, or don't even open it, just think of it.
Okay,
Since you
yep.
know it's yours. Is it the 9 of spades?
Yes.
It is. Open it up and show everybody.
All right,
and
yep, 9
and then
of
the
spades.
last person, okay, I've not touched anything here, concentrate on your card. Isn't that the 2 of clubs?
It is.
And see, there you go. Look at how clean. I mean, everything's so perfect. Even the cards are.
So it's just that initial switch plus the stacked deck that
Yeah.
gets you that clean, yeah.
Right, and as far as the deck goes, like I always have a breakthrough stack deck with me, and all I did for these was I just took a sheet and tore it in half, because that makes a nice size to switch and to open. It's so easy to open a paper like this that's folded in half. You just give it open it once and then it'll just almost pop open like that. So it's
Could you go through the mechanics of the switch?
with switch, I almost do it differently every time, but
Okay.
okay, so I had the 2 of clubs open, and I had the 9 of spades, which was the 7 of spades, the first person's card. I had that palmed
So
here.
it's just finger palmed.
Yeah, just finger palm, and I say, okay, concentrate, and then, so many different ways to do it,
one way is I open it up and seven of spades, and I could just lay it right on top of the other one like this, so it looks like one.
Yes.
And then just hand it to you and draw it back. That's an Anneman idea.
All right.
Another way you could do it is okay, there's the seven of spades finger palm. Another way to do it would be to say, okay, concentrate, is it the seven of spades? And watch this move now. I could just go like this, open it up and say, it is the seven of spades. I could fold it like this, okay?
Yeah.
And then put it like this into this hand. Mm-hmm. You see, so it's just this. Holding it like this, and I just do this. Here you go.
And the other one is
It's now sticking
now
out.
the
So
one
it's
that's
like
visible.
here you go, take it.
Right, okay.
And then go over and reach and drop it into the hat and
Nice.
use my left hand
Yep.
to pick it up. So many different ways. But the first way that I showed you where you overlap it, with the Anneman routine, you actually fold it in three, but here, and I would bet you Bert Reese did similar things because he usually only had the paper folded twice. After you fold it, you just fold it like this, and then you just fold it right on top of the other one and hold them at your fingertips like that. And if you just keep it moving, it looks like one billet, and then as you handed it back, you just slide the one that you want to keep like that. There you go.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute with the Bert Reese stuff.
all right.
Okay.
Good.
I have something to show you that uses a deck of cards. But no surprises here, okay? I'm going to tell you ahead of time just what's coming, so you'll know exactly what's going on, okay? And your name was?
Pernille?
Pernille.
Pernille.
And you're from Denmark.
Yes.
And we have not talked about this ahead of time.
No.
Didn't get you off to the side and say, play along and say this or do this or anything like that. Here's a deck of cards. Actually, I had two decks of cards, a red one and a blue one. And I took a card from one of them out and put it in the other deck, and I turned it over too to mark the place, so there can be no mistake in the card's a different color and it's turned upside down. That was what I did already. I know what the card is, of course. I had to decide. I went through the deck a few times and decided which way I was going to go, what card, and that's where we stand. And now you're going to name a card. There's no jokers in here, so you can't name a joker. There's no extra cards. It's just one of the 52 cards. And I really want you to think about this carefully. I don't want you to be influenced psychologically. I want you to take your time. I'm going to think of the card, and then you name the card that you want to decide on. Go ahead.
Okay.
Say it.
Four of spades.
Four of spades. Are you sure?
Yes.
There's no change in your mind. You want to go
No.
with that card.
Yes.
I told you exactly what was happening here. Inside the deck, I told you I had one card, and one card only, that I had turned around. It's the only card turned around. Like I say, it's a red card, so you wouldn't think that I had done some kind of sleight of hand, and it's the only red card in the deck, and it's the card. And you were going to name a different card, weren't you? Did a number of cards go through your mind?
of course.
Because, you know, psychologically, cards like the Ace of Spades or the King or Queen of Hearts are the ones. But the Four of Spades, that's obviously your choice, and that's the one you decided to name, and that's the one I wanted you to name. So thank you very much.
That's crazy.
Well, let's talk about this effect, which is a creation of Di Vernon's, interestingly enough, that appeared in the Jinx originally, and that's Brainwave.
Right. And I guess when he first invented it, it didn't use a rough and smooth principle. I thought I read that somewhere, that actually they had like little dimples in the corner and the cards would fit together. That's why they would stick, but whatever. Actually, Brainwave has become less popular over the years than the Ultramental deck, the
Invisible
deck. But I kind of like Brainwave. The difference, for if there's anyone who doesn't know, it's a rough and smooth deck. But what happens is, instead of spreading the face-up deck and you come to a face-down card, that's a card that the person named, you spread the deck and you come to a face-up card that has a different color back than the rest of the deck.
Right.
And just to run quickly through the mechanics,
This deck and most of the ones that I've seen that I bought come with spades and then underneath clubs, all the black cards on the blue side, and then diamonds and hearts. So it starts with the ace of diamonds and goes down to the ace, second part of the deck, the ace of hearts. And I always penciled out the decks on the ace and the 7,
Okay.
and then the next ace, and come on, and finally the
Now you
last.
penciled out the 7 just to show you that you're kind of halfway through the
Exactly.
the run. Okay.
Yeah, so if it's a 9, I don't have to count, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can just see that 7 and say, okay, there's the 9 right
Okay.
there,
Yeah.
and spread it. Okay, and now
And of course, you should point out also that the unlike the ultramental deck or invisible deck, where this every pair adds up to 13, there's a little bit of calculation involved. With the brainwave deck, all the cards are just in natural order. They're
Right.
ace by suit. They're suited, so it's ace through king, ace through king, and the same deal on the other side. So,
Exactly. So one part of the calculation, you don't have to do the math, but on the other hand, you have to count.
right. Okay.
So
yeah.
either way, you got to work, but work in different ways. Now, originally you had a white case that they came in, and I had a white case for this deck. I couldn't find it, so because a white case would explain why you either took out a red deck or a blue deck.
Right.
Well, that's not a factor in the ultramental deck, but it is a factor with the
With
brainwave deck.
And I know some people have tried to be clever where they've very carefully taken the card boxes apart.
Turned them inside out.
No, they actually take a red case and kind of construct, a red case and then have a blue back. So depending on which way you take the deck out, it doesn't seem to be an anomaly that you're taking
A red deck, yeah.
But I'm not sure
Well,
anybody ever really even notices, spectator-wise.
and again, if you want, you can just slit this here and just slit it here and turn the case inside out, and now you've got a white case.
Right, just glue it back the other
Yeah,
way.
exactly. But what I did instead during the presentation, and of course you have a 50-50 chance not to worry about this, but it's a very straightforward presentation. What I did was I got 2 decks of cards, one red and one blue, and I took one card, I decided on one card, and I took it out of one deck and put it in the other deck. Plus I turned it over just to like doubly mark it, so that now there's one card turned over with the other color inside this deck of cards.
Right.
Now, let's say they had said, luckily they said a black card, so I could take the blue card out from the box correctly. But let's say they had said a red card, okay? Then I would have done this. I would have taken it out and I would have said, okay, now here's the red deck. The blue card came from this deck, you see?
Sure.
And it was the 5 of hearts that you said, and then I would just spread through and show that it's the 5.
Okay.
Now, here's the little thing about it. When you spread through to find a card, if you apply pressure, they'll stay together.
Right.
When you find the card that you need to, if you just loosen up, then it'll separate. Right now we're doing this early morning. My hands aren't really moist and they're sliding over cards, but that's the correct way to do it. You squeeze and they'll stay together until you come to the card that you need to find. There's ace, 2, 3, 4, and there's the 5, and you just loosen up a little bit. And if your hands have any moisture on them, they'll catch the cards, and there you go. Now here's what I always do, by the way, because some guys you see don't want to disrupt the deck, the order of the cards, and so they're so careful not to do that. But you can fix that later. What I do is I break the deck at that point, and set it down. Say, they're all, and that's it. And then what you can do is you can do that, see, and it looks so
nice.
natural.
That's nice.
Because now you have the card on the bottom that you can flash, and of course it has no resemblance to this card,
Right.
so it doesn't give anything away.
And plus with
you can show and see, and it's a 5. It's the only card.
And I was going to say, with most rough and smooth decks, you can actually, if they're done well, you can actually ribbon spread a rough and smooth deck without fear of the pairs coming apart.
Exactly.
If they start to come apart, then it's just really time to get a new deck anyway. But they will stay together on a ribbon spread, so that's always That contrast is really nice too.
Especially if you have a soft surface. Now this is of course a nice magic felt table, but I mean as long as you have like a tablecloth, it'll work fine.
Sure.
If you have a lacquered table, trying
No,
that might not
no.
work. So
No,
you
no,
just
no.
have to, go with the
Yeah.
flow and what the situation is you're working with.
But it's a classic.
It is, and that's where it was found in the first place, was the Jinx. Carl, I have something to show you here. This is my new crystal. I keep it in this box. And, you think of a crystal ball, you think of the ability to look into the future. So that's an experiment I'm going to try with you right now. Okay? Excited about this, Carl?
Let's do it.
Here's one of my cards. Think of a question about your future that you would like answered right here and now. And you might want to think about condensing the question down into 1 or 2 words rather than write the whole thing out. Put it right on that line, and when you're done, just turn the card over like that, and I'll turn away as you do that, okay?
Okay.
And just drop your card right inside. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this crystal to gaze into your future. Can you see the paper in there? It's a piece of paper. I believe I see a machine in there too. The paper has numbers, but not a single long digit number, but rather there's a 23 and there's 07 and over here is 48. It's a series of numbers like that. Well, it looks to me like a lottery ticket. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a lottery ticket. And I see you buying this lottery ticket in the hopes that you're going to win millions of dollars. Carl,
Yeah.
it doesn't look good. I think you're going to have to keep on working for a living. I don't see you winning the lottery, at least not anytime soon. Sorry. Sorry about that here. Let's see, what's your card say?
There you go. Win lottery.
Win the lottery. Well, there you are.
Now this is a clever gizmo here.
Ray, our carpenter, artisan,
Yeah, he makes
built
the
this for me.
Ultra boards, thought skins.
Yeah, classic epics. Who
Phantom
knows?
knives.
We may just put this on the market because this is beautiful. It's called the Devil Device. It's been inanimate for. I don't think I've ever seen anyone actually have one of these things.
I've always looked at the diagram. I've always looked at the pictures. I've never seen someone make it.
Mm-hmm. And this is beautiful. It's all made just the way it's supposed to be. Here's the premise. It looks like a box, and you start out. You can bring it out by having some kind of crystal ball inside. It's supposed to look like a jewelry box or a file box or something of that nature. And put it aside and close it up. And then you have somebody take a card, your business card, and they write a question on the back, okay? And I'll just put the word question for now to show you how this works. They write their question, and then you open the box, and they drop their question inside. And then you just move the box away. But here's the neat thing, because what happens is as you move the box, if I can swivel this around, this is what has happened in that split second. What has happened is that the box has tilted. What was the floor of the box, so that the card is face down inside, like that. I just grab a hold of this little thumb notch that I had Ray put in and just drop the box like that, and the question card just writes itself right side up, right in front of me, silently, for me to read it. While all that's happened from his point of view is I've slid the box back a little bit. I think yesterday when I did it, I just did it with one hand as I was gradually talking like that.
Yeah.
And there it was, right in front of me like that, see? And so then you have the misdirection. We could take the crystal ball, and it's there right the whole time, right in front of me. Anytime I want to just swivel it right back up and put it back where it was, and the card, as I said, falls back the way it was in the first place.
Yeah, it
to
looks like
take
nothing
it
has
out again.
changed.
Yeah. So for a single sitter, this is a beautiful device that I think has been pretty much overlooked.
And the angles aren't terrible. That's not
No.
that's not a terribly big
No,
flap. So they're not bad. And
Let
just
me-
holding the box as you're holding it now.
can you see it?
I don't start seeing it until right now.
Right there. So
yeah.
we were there.
Right, I don't see it.
And see, imagine a sitter here, and I'm in a situation where he's just put the card in. Nothing's
your
happened
hand's
yet.
totally-
I'm going to do it this way so that the camera can see the angle. So the sitter is there at the corner of the table. And what I do is I can just drop this down like this as I slide it back toward me.
Right.
So now I can actually see how this completely covers any angles. As I talk like this, and it's just the simplest thing in the world to close it back up like that and just put it back where it was, and there you go. It's a beautiful concept. And I guess, mentalism doesn't have a whole lot of neat, looking props that, do things like swivel, What Ray did when he built this one, you see, is he put a little ledge on the bottom so that this can only go that far, just enough so the card flips
So it
over.
tilts and enough for the card to
Right.
fall.
And we also, what we did is to put a couple of little thumb notches here, like that, so that it's easy to get to, and this goes right back up again like this. And the way it's built, the way he designed it, you really can look right in and hardly see anything, And I mean, it just looks like such a deep box that when you drop this card in like that, it's like, that's concealed inside. There's no way you're going to, be able to see anything. So that's a devil device. Like I said, I've never seen it offered by anyone here, so maybe we'll just go ahead and offer it ourselves. But it's a great little gimmick, Here are my business cards, okay? Want one?
Sure.
You can hire me? Actually, I got 6, so there's just 4 of you. So here, you take one, and you take one, and you want to do this? Here, come over here. You take one. Yeah. And how about this fellow over here? Come forward, just take this. Okay. Here and here. Turn them over. Oh, you know what? I should have given you a pencil at the same time. Here you go. Thank you. And over here. Great. And this is one of my favorite books. Turn them over on the blank side. You're going to write in the back in a second, but don't do it yet. This is one of my favorite books, The Hound of the Baskervilles. I love Arthur Conan Doyle, and this is my favorite Sherlock Holmes story. Okay, so I just thought I'm going to use this later in the test, but for now, okay, right from the first page, here's right in the very beginning of the story. Well, Watson, comma, what do you make of it? What I want you each to do is to write that sentence on your card. Well, Watson, comma, what do you make of it? In your regular cursive writing, don't print it, okay? And I'm not looking at anyone. I'm trying to look the other way so that no one will think I'm trying to see anything. And while you're doing that, I have this little box thing again. Okay. Well, Watson, comma, what do you make of it? Question mark. And when you're done, just throw your card in here. I don't want to touch it, so I don't want any indication as to, go ahead. And then the 2 in the audience, I'll let them, okay? And the reason I'm doing this, everybody writes differently. I wasn't even looking, so I don't even know if any of you are left-handed or right-handed. I actually have studied handwriting to some degree, and it's really, some people think you can tell if a person, let me just grab one here. Some person can think that if a person's right-handed or left-handed, you can tell that from the handwriting. It's not even necessarily so. That's not even necessarily so. Well, Watson, what do you make of it? So writing has a nice similarity to it. All the letters are very, very even, okay? Well formed, goes straight, nice straight across the paper. I get the feeling this is a person who probably is well organized in life, hates sloppiness, probably cleans up their room all the time, does their laundry a lot all the time.
As a matter of fact, I think it belongs to you. Would you come over here and see if that's your handwriting? It is, I thought so, very much. Go, you grab one out for me, anyone you want, and just hand it to me. Okay. This one says, well, Watson, what do you make of it? What's that? Well, Watson, comma, what do you make of it? This is a flare. Can you see the flare on like the U? Like this. You notice how the what do starts to go drift upward a little bit. This is an optimist, a person who likes to live life, and yet you see how the, even though I said cursive writing, the letters are not really connected. It's almost like half print, half. This is a person who likes to their solitude at times, even though they're very friendly and they like to have friends and what have you. There's a certain amount of time that they need to themselves, to be alone. And that's you. And is this your handwriting?
Yes.
I thought so. Thank you very much. Grab another one out. This is good, isn't it? Okay. Well, Watson, what do you make of it? This is interesting. This person is a fancy person. Look at the W's on here.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of, this is an artistic person. A very artistic person. And, you know, without even going any further, you know, because I've already talked to you and I know that this is what you do. And you know, and one of the reasons you have been attracted to doing filmmaking and this type of work is because you can appreciate beauty and you can appreciate art. And it is a type of art. And this has to be yours. I could just tell from that writing. That's yours, isn't it? Okay, let me grab another one real quick. Well, Watson, what do you make of it? Well, Watson, what do you make of it? Given from this handwriting, I make that it's yours. Is that right? Yes? Okay, we got two left here. Who are the two that I haven't done yet? You and you. Okay, well, Watson, what do you make of it? And this is really interesting. This is really interesting. I'm holding it out so you can see it. You see?
Yes.
You see the difference, what happened here? Everybody else wrote up near the top. This person, either you or you, all of a sudden dropped way down to the bottom, okay? This is an individual. This is a person who doesn't like to go by the rules. This is a person who likes to break the rules all the time and do stuff differently than what everybody else does. And sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. And right now, you think that I'm talking to you, but I'm not, because you're the rule breaker over here. Come and get this card. Is this yours? I thought so. And finally, this must be yours. But let me just take a look. Well, Watson, what do you make of it? And this is, of course, yours. Well, Watson, what do you make of it? Okay. Notice of everyone's writing, if you compare, like hold yours up and I could show you the other two, everybody's, what do you make of it? The it ends sooner than the end of the line. But do you see how everything lines up perfectly? Almost like when you're doing a Word document and you have formatted to go right through the edges, how she needs to be perfect, it's symmetrical. And even using up the, is that the word I'm looking for? We know the word I'm looking for. Even though it's how much of the card she uses up, it's like I have to write this many words, so I have to use up this much of the card. And so she tends to fill it up so that there's no waste, you see. Everything is perfectly ordered. If you look at her, look at how she's dressed and how neat everything is and how it lines up. And not that you all aren't dressed like that, but this is yours too. And I hope you've enjoyed my little demonstration of graphology, okay? Thank you.
So let's talk about graphology, which was a pseudo-psychometry routine that used people's handwriting. It was the creation of L. Vosburgh Lyons.
Right. And, you know, over the years, this has become a very popular theme. There's been a lot of effects on the market now that use that as a theme, that different people write something down and
Or a drawing of some kind.
and you analyze it and can tell who it belongs to. And what's kind of neat about that is you can do a character reading.
Right.
And you could do a legitimate character reading. If you just read a book on handwriting analysis,
you get a feeling of a person who spaces their letters up really neatly or uses up the paper, what kind of person they are. You can throw that in, which I did yesterday, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, remember there was one girl who was sitting over here, and because I didn't do that with her, I just kind of said, oh, this is yours, and I moved on. She came back to me later and she said, well,
What about me?
yeah, why didn't you tell me my, you know, so that goes to show what's important in this kind of thing. Not giving back the card to the right person, but talking about them personally, and that's why this card belongs
Well,
to
people's favorite subject is generally themselves, and
course.
this kind of routine is perfect for that.
And you just make each one, you know, appropriately as a compliment. Like, you know, you're a very neat person. You know, in your house, I could see everything's put away. You don't like junk and clutter because I can tell how you've written. This is yours. And also the way you frame it when you say, and this is yours, you don't really give them a chance to say, well, that's not me. I'm a messy person, because it's done. You know, it's like
Right.
they smile because
You're on to the next person,
and they smile because you were right. You gave them their card, and it's like, but that seems to imply, and everything else you said was right too.
that's right. So it's
And-
almost a dual reality. kind of thing.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the mechanics of the effect.
Yeah, basically all you have to do is know what card belongs to what person. And so you mark the cards in some way. Now here's the thing, and this is why books like Animan, the classics, are so important, because so often you get over clever again, and the real important stuff is in the book, but because you want to get over clever, you ignore that and then you lose the effect.
Right.
And what I was going to do is to take my business cards, which is basically which you designed for me, by the way, which is a nice heavy card with a black background and my logo and my name and other information. And I thought it would be really clever to take like an X-Acto pen. You can scrape away the black, and I could mark the cards, maybe one little mark under each letter. Nobody would ever see that.
Right.
Here's the problem. You don't want to pick up a card. They've written on the back, on the white part.
Why are you looking at the front?
Yeah, why am I looking at this, studying this, and then turn it over, you see, as opposed to what it says in the book.
Well, that
Mark-
tips the method, too. They know there's something going on the front that distinguishes the cards.
Yes, and what the book says is you pass out cards to people, they write a sentence on it, you collect them, again, we'd use the box instead of a hat, in there, mix them all up, reach in and take one out and just do this. Okay, this is what it says, and start analyzing.
Right.
And so, after giving it considerable thought, because in the book it talks about putting a little dot
Right.
and play, I thought, well, I'm going to nail nick it. That's always been my solution whenever I needed to mark an envelope or something else that somebody else may handle. If you divide it, let's say I had 6 cards I wanted to this one's written on, to mark in some way, I would just like go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, take number 1 and just squeeze it with my fingernail like that. Now you can't see that at all, but if I hold it just right, I can see that nail nick
Against
there.
the light, you
Yeah.
can see it. Yeah.
Now, what do I have to do, though? Because the camera will never in a million years pick this up. So I'm just going to make a mark. That would be like number 1. Number 2 would be marked here. Number 3 would be marked here. Number 4 would be marked here. 5 here, and 6 here. And they're all in order. And this, again, let me just spread these out for the camera so that the camera can see these marks, hopefully. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That mark is an extra one, doesn't count. And of course, these are not actually marks with a pencil, but these are nail nicks, so that I can see them, but nobody else would notice them. Because, you know, when you have if you get something like a card or an envelope and it's marked in some way with a pencil or a pen, you get suspicious.
Right.
If you see a mark from a bent corner or a nick in it, that's
Right.
like normal wear and tear. That's liable to happen. And each person only has one mark on their card, and they're all not comparing them. So
But with just a little indentation, it's nothing anybody's likely to notice.
exactly.
Yeah. So I assume then that you hand out the cards in the order that people are around the table, clockwise?
Exactly, or if you're doing it to a sitting audience, you would just number them in your mind, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the cards are already in order, so you just pick them up and, okay, here, you take a card, you take a card, it seems random, but they're each going right down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
And you just, now, you could have the person, I thought what they said in the book was very clever. I took another book, I took the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Yes.
And I just found a short sentence. I read that off and said, okay, everybody write this sentence. That's kind of a neat way to do it. Because then I could take each one out and says, okay, this card says, and I read the same thing
Right.
off every card, you know?
And it adds another layer of people said, is there something about the book? Now they're thinking about the book and not about the cards too. Is it?
Later, it reinforces the book, which is a special book that I did use later in the
Right,
show.
right.
And plus, by saying, taking each card out and says, oh, well, this card says, and I read the same thing, it reinforces in their mind, well, yeah, all the cards say the same thing, so how can he know?
Right.
And then, as I said, you just, one at a time, you just look at what's written on it, and this would be number 3 person, I describe it, but of course, I know who the person is, so I could be looking at them, and I could kind of be analyzing them as I'm analyzing their handwriting. So I can
Right.
fit my reading based on not only what it says here and how it's written, but the way they look.
So there's a cold reading element here a little bit.
Exactly.
Now, something that typically in a routine like this, one of the weak spots in pretty much every pseudo-psychometry routine, and there's different remedies for this, but I would like you to talk about yours, is that when you get down to 2, obviously if this one belongs to this one, well, in other words, there's no finish because the
Right.
last one is obviously this person's.
Right.
So talk about how you dealt with that.
Well, first of all, if you remember, I got down to 2, and I was reading off and giving this reading and staring right at the girl here, as though I'm telling her all about herself, when in fact it was the guy sitting behind her.
That's right.
And it one, you know, and I kept looking at her and saying, and this and this and this, and then all of a sudden I say, and it's not you, it's you. Which came like a surprise because they were second guessing me, and he was sitting back there probably thinking, he's messing this up. That's mine, and he's looking at her. You
Right.
know, and then I kind of surprised him out of the blue and gave it. And then what did I do with the last word? I can't quite remember, but that's almost, you know, the ending, because then
Right.
obviously this has to be yours, you know, but I can see that you're such and such and such. So in this case, the change was, so obviously this is yours, and I go to hand it back. But, you know, before I do, let me just say about you, and you finish off
Right.
with the reading for them and give it back to them like that.
Very nice.
So, you know, that makes it a little bit different at the end, and it still gives that person a reading. But again, in this routine, the most important thing is not getting the card to go with the person, but doing the reading on the person and saying nice things about the person based on their handwriting. That's what they'll remember.
Graphology.
Well, I've got something to show you that's really kind of crazy. There are 2 slates, okay? I'm going to write something down. You won't have any idea what's happening until the end. Up until then, it won't make any sense at all. But I'm going to begin. Which one do you want me to write on? That one? Okay. I'm going to write something down on here. And so I'm going to slide this one over that you can't see yet. Sort of a forecast. I'm going to take my glasses off so nobody tries to get a reflection, because I know you guys are a little bit sneaky. Okay, I'm going to go with this. This is my prediction. I can't change my mind. I'm just going to set it down right here. Okay. Now, inside here, and as I said, this won't make any sense at first. Can you see what this is? What's on this little card here? It's like all sets of 2 letters. W, D, I, C, H, T. They're all different right down the list. Okay? And it makes no sense. I understand right now. It makes no sense to you, but that's okay. In addition, because we need to select, we need to eliminate all but one set of these letters. Now here are 3 dice. Diego, check them out. Give them a roll. Give them a few rolls so that, okay, this time it came up what, 6. Roll them again. Just want you to see there's 8, there's 8 and 3 is 13, yeah. Okay, tell me You're satisfied they're just regular dice? Okay, now this row will count, okay? This one will count, so roll them again. This one's the one that's gonna count. Okay, what do we got? We got 12, okay? So, there it is, pretty high roll. Be good for Yahtzee, I guess, or if you were to play that. Count down to the 12th set of letters. Go ahead, you do it carefully. What is it?
YS.
YS? Okay, so write down YS right there. And we'll leave yours face up like that, okay? This list doesn't comprise the whole thing, because just like I had that envelope over there, I have a second envelope over here. And inside this envelope is another little list. So there is, just that, okay? Another little list, and this list, as you see, has sets of 3 letters. See? And see, the way this works is if I set this down like this, and then I take your original set that you've had right from the beginning and lay it next to that, you see every word or every set forms a word. Crowd, magic, tight, what's that one? Wrote, you see? What number did you row?
12.
12. What's the 12th word, completed word there?
I don't know.
Well,
Where is it? Plays.
plays, because you already had the YS, and your word that you really chose using these 3 dice, which was that is about as fair as you could get, was 12, and that turned out to be plays. Remember I wrote something before we ever began anything?
Well, this certainly had a big impact yesterday. It's another Stuart James creation called Half and Half.
Half and half. I love this. This is a fun thing to do. Okay, well, you saw the demonstration. There's a lot more to it than what it appears to have. 2 slates, of course, really make this look great. What's going to happen is you're going to show this card of 18 2-letter combinations. And just so you know, if you want to do this, you're going to need to get the book, and you're going to need to create a file in your computer so you can print these things out and do this. That's what I did, of course. Then once you do it one time, you have it forever. Because what you also need, in addition to the original list of 2-letter combinations, you don't need 1 more, but rather you need 8 more.
Okay.
And I guess I should begin by explaining that with 3 dice, you can throw any number from 3 up
To
until
18.
18. So even though there are 18 sets here, the first 3 don't mean anything because you can't throw the first 2. The smallest digit you can, smallest number you can make is 3. So the first 2 don't even mean anything. We're also going to just use the even numbers. So what's going to happen is somebody throws the 3 dice, and now here they ended up with 12, but let's say they ended up with 15.
Okay.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do is.
Well, this is.
I'm sorry.
That's 11.
11. I'm not 15. 11. You would count off 11 and say we'll use the next ones. Basically, what you want to do is arrive at this list with the throw of the dice on all the even numbers.
Okay.
So basically, we're going to end up with either 4, because you can't roll. The 3 you round up to 4. So 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So if they roll a number with an odd number, you just count down that many and then go 1 more.
Okay.
And I'll show you how I handle that in a second. So that's what you need to know about this. Now, what you're going to do is begin by making a prediction.
All right.
And that prediction is always PLA. That's always the prediction. PLA. And that you put face down, no one sees that.
All right.
And then you say to the person that's helping you, this set of, it's not complete. These are only 2-letter combinations. I'll explain to you what's going to happen. If you recall, when I did this, I said, you won't understand what's going on until the end of the effect, and then it all makes sense. So that's what I say, so people don't start questioning, what are you doing here? And then I say, we're going to eliminate all these sets of letters. They're all different except one. And the reason I say it that way is because if they row an odd number, I say, okay, so you row 9. We're going to eliminate the first 9 sets of letters and then use the
Take
next
the 10th one.
Whereas if they roll 10, I say, okay, just count down to the 10th one, and that's what we're going to use,
Gotcha.
eliminating all the rest, you see? So just a little play on words. So let's say we were doing this. Okay, I would have you roll, and you rolled, what do you got there? 7? 11. I say, okay, so we're going to eliminate 11, so just count down 11, and
Okay.
then we'll use the next one. What is it?
YS.
YS. So I would give you the chalk and say make a big YS on your blackboard. Okay. Now in the meantime, I know that the number is the 12th number. In my pocket, I have 8 more sets of, or 8 more lists, and each one of these is in an envelope. Now in the book, Stuart James says to put the number that goes with the list on the inside of the lid or the inside of the flap.
All right.
But to me, why would you want it there? I want to know as soon as I take it out whether I got the right one or the wrong one. So I write them in the corner. Since again, this is not going to be anything I'm going to, actually have where you can see it. So in this left-hand pocket, I have 4, 6, 8, 10. And in the right pocket, I have 12, 14, 16, and 18. So these go here and here. And as soon as I know your number, which in this case is 12, I reach in my pocket and I take out the envelope that says 12 on it.
All right.
Which in this case, the first one, it's a little bit easier if I'm standing, but here it is, 12. Now let me show you what happens here. When I set this list next to this list, it makes all these words. But only one word has to PLA to complete it, and that's at yours, plays. Let me turn this around so the camera can see this. If I put the 2 lists together, you see that the first word is crowd, then comes magic, then comes tight, then comes wrote, group. They all make sense. They're all words. But the only one, the one that corresponds with your number 12 is plays. And of course, then for the grand finish, I turn over this next to this, and there it is, plays. And it seems incomprehensible. Now, just to show you how this works, let me take this number 12 and put it back, okay? And of course, if you had thrown a different number, you would have gotten a different 2-letter combination. Right. So, what do you have that time?
10.
10. So if you counted down to the 10th set of letters, what would it be?
NK.
NK, so write NK down.
And in this case, we would count directly because it's even.
It's even.
We would count directly to the 10th combination.
Right. So NK, and of course that's number 10, which is over here in this pocket, so I would take out this envelope. This is from before.
Okay.
I still had a set of envelopes in my pocket from earlier. Okay. I would reach down and take out this envelope,
right,
which I know is right because it's got number 10. And in this case, if I put it together, you see the PLA is now
blank
at the 10th place.
Right.
Basically what it is on the list that says 10, the PLA is on the 10th place.
You're right.
On 12, it's in the 12th place. So it just simply corresponds with the number that they roll on the dice. And then, because of the creation of the list, because of the makeup of the list, every other or every even space will in fact make a word that begins with PLA.
Okay.
In other words, the original if you start with number 4, which is the smallest one you can make, what you have is plate. Then if you jump 2, you have plant. You jump 2, you have plane. You jump 2, you have plank, you see? And so the PLA always works, only the ending changes, but because you're covered in every instance that you could possibly row, it works out perfectly. And as I said, what you're going to have to do if you want to do this, and it's a great effect, you're going to have to sit down with your computer and you're going to just have to create a vertical document and cut it apart into like 9 columns and just type in all this stuff, print it out, slice it up, and you're ready to go. And once you do all that work, though, you've got the list in there permanently to
So
print
it's
out
always
again.
right, yeah.
Yeah, I just printed
You're
it
not
up on a
using
little bit
anything
heavier
up.
cardstock. Yeah,
Just clean the slates and you're ready to do it again.
exactly. So it's a stunner. It's a stunner.
Half and half.
Starbucks double shot energy drink. It's not mine, but just leave this here. Would you help by, Hurry, just take the paper, and what I need you to do is, this is the paper from before that we used where we tore out the corner, but find any page that's got like lots of writing on it, like here or any of these pages, and just tear out a piece about this big, with all covered with writing on that side. And I'm not even going to look as she does this, but I'm going to show you something I want you to do in a second, Diane. Whatever piece she tears, like let's say this was the piece she teared, I'm going to give you the pen and ask you to pick out like some kind of word near the center and just draw a circle around it. Like, you know, here in this case I drew one around address, but this is not what we're going to use. It's going to be your choice. And so, you got a piece for her? Okay, make it a little smaller. Something about, you know, like about, yeah, that's good. Okay, and I don't even want to see it, so would you pass it over to her? Okay, now what you're going to do is take this pen, and there's no way I can see anything, and just like I showed you, somewhere near the center, just find a word, pretty good word, and just draw a circle around it, like that. And I'm looking away the other way. These aren't special glasses with gizmos or anything like that. Have you done that? Mm-hmm. Okay, now fold the paper in half and fold it in half the other way. Okay, and years ago they would have used something like an ashtray to burn the pieces in, but just take them and stuff them down inside the can. Don't let me take all the pieces. I don't want to see any. Okay, done? Now, I need you, in your mind, to picture the word. Now, you don't know the word. Did you see any of the words at all on the paper when, okay, did you change your mind? This was the first word you picked. You know why I'm hesitating? Because I'm drawing a blank. I really am drawing a blank. What was that? Part of my chalk. I don't think this is right, but Diane, what's the word you chose to say it?
Retired.
Ted Anneman was probably only second to Houdini in our little craft here in doing things to generate publicity. He had that big bullet catch stunt, and it was covered by wire services. There's quite a few things in practical mental effects that are engineered deliberately to be publicity stunts, to gather publicity. And this is something he did with a newspaper that...
And it's just simply a center tear.
Okay.
And you know, the funny thing about it is I read somewhere, and I forget what book, and it's probably just as well I don't mention it because I don't agree with it, but it said, you can't do that because how can you guarantee that someone's going to draw a circle with, you know, circle a word in the newspaper from somewhere near the center of the paper?
Okay.
And I always thought that's silly. You saw me do it yesterday. It's the simplest thing in the world to control. You know, so many things that people think are problems are not if you just approach them the right way and say the right thing. I'm just looking for a piece of paper. The whole premise is tear out any piece of paper from a newspaper that's got writing on it. I just use the want ads here. Why don't you tear out a sheet about this big?
Okay.
And I'll get my pen out. And of course, this is actually very good for a newspaper office. They've got newspapers all over
Sure.
the place. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so you got one with a little bit bigger writing than
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. And even if it's bigger, that's fine too. Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Something like this would work?
Yeah, even though it's big, that'll work. As a matter of fact, it'd be better to demonstrate with
Sure.
you. For real life, you might want to use something a little smaller. But
Okay.
anyways, I simply say to you, okay, you pulled that out. I'm not even going to look at it. Here, just take the pen and draw a circle around the word, any word you want, somewhere like in the center of the paper. Just pick out a longer word and draw a circle around it.
Okay.
Now you see right there, I just handled the whole problem nonchalantly. I said just somewhere near the middle of the paper, just draw, you know, a ring around any word in there, a longer word.
Oh, a longer word?
Yeah, or it can be any word. It's up to you. And now I was thinking, I don't know if it's going to be hard to do that on here because it's soft, but did you do it?
Yeah, I did.
And then fold it in half, and then fold it in half the other way. And of course, now if you recall when I did this, I had someone with an empty can, an empty pop can or
Yes.
something. Because back in Anneman's day, it was quite common, half the effects to rip the paper up and burn it.
Right.
But now you have difficulty trying to burn paper because restaurants have no smoking and so they
Open
have no
flames, you
ashtray
can't,
and
yeah.
no open flames. So the clever way around that, and I first learned this from Al Mann, who suggested using a wine bottle.
Right.
But you know, a pop can is just as good too, because once you stuff those papers in there, how are you going to get them out again? You know, without ripping the can
Right,
apart?
it'd be impossible, yeah.
So anyways, you do the center tear, and all you do is you grab the paper so that you have the center, which is right there under I do it under my right thumb, and just tear down, and maybe tear a second time that way, and turn it this way, and tear like this, and the center is right here.
Right.
And of course, like if we had the pop can, I would just give it to you and say, just, you know, in other words, I'm sorry, I'm holding it like this. I would just slide them forward and say, here, just take all these pieces and just dump them in the pop can. And I've stolen away the center.
Okay.
That's the whole thing.
Okay.
And so while you're doing that, I drop my hand to my lap,
Okay. So,
and if I'm sitting at a table and I can easily open up the paper, if it's not convenient for me to open up the paper, then I might do it behind the blackboard.
okay.
That's why I had the blackboard ready to go. Or if you're doing it somewhere and you have a writing pad or anything like that, in which case I just pick it up and ask you to concentrate. And from my angle, I just have the paper, and of course, if I'm sitting back in the chair or something, I can easily rest and just open this paper up, and see, there it is. Even though you circled a word way down near the bottom,
Right.
I still caught it.
Yep, it's still in the middle. Yep.
So no problem. So whatever the word is, I would draw it on the slate or just announce it verbally. Simplest thing in the world, just the center tear. And yeah, if you just tell somebody, you could rip a page out of a book and just say circle a word somewhere near, you know, just pick a word out somewhere on that page, somewhere near the middle. So when you fold it, there's no way I can see it.
Right.
It's another thing you could say.
Yeah.
Just put it somewhere
It's
near
all
the middle.
about controlling the spectator. though. It's-
Exactly, yeah. And then just do a simple center tear, end of story.
Right.
There's something in here. It's a forecast, okay? We'll get back to it, okay? You know what this is, don't you? You know what they are? They're Candyland cards.
Oh.
And yeah, I swiped them from a granddaughter. I have a little granddaughter. And I just went and you know, they're all, you've not played Candyland? You have. Okay. Well, what I need for you to do is just reach in. Don't look, just grab one card out. Well, you just grab one out. And what color did you get? Show it. Okay, blue. Could have grabbed any. Okay. The Hound of the Baskervilles again.
Okay.
Okay. Take this card and take the book. Slide the cards like somewhere near the middle of the book.
Like,
Yeah, just find a page. Okay, open it up. Okay, now on the top, is the first word on the page a short word or a long word?
Short word.
Okay, I want one long word. Go down to the bottom of the page. Look at the last line. What about the first word on the last line? Is that a short word or long word?
Longer.
You like that word? What is it?
Character.
Character. Okay, good. Close it up. And, oh, sorry. Who do I go with? Angela, name a number from 1 to 100.
85.
Why 85? Did that just come to your mind right now? So you were, no one talked to you ahead of time or anything like that. Okay. I have something inside this envelope for you. Three persons will choose the color blue, the word character, and the number 85.
Let's talk a little bit about this effect, which is a triple prediction, kind of a classic triple prediction effect that Annemann created. It's called triple coercion.
Right. And what makes it effective is because there's three things predicted. Two of them are force items, but the last one is a free choice.
Okay.
And now in the book, they show a slit envelope, and the prediction card has the first two predictions already written in, and the only thing missing is the number. And if you look at the illustration in the book, the number is right at the end because the envelope has a slit, and when you put this inside, you let the end stick out.
Okay.
I changed that a little bit. I decided I wanted to go with a window envelope so that I could get the number in the prediction, not
Real
be right
tight
on the
against
edge.
the sentence, yeah.
So I just cut a window out and put the card inside so that I can just write through the window and write the number in. Now the two force items, in the book they used a color and a card.
Okay.
But we've already done so many playing cards. I want to do something a little different. So I decided, what I did as far as forcing a color, I decided to use Candyland cards. I thought that would be kind of fun, and also the colorful, because here again, getting back to the business of adding a little splash of color once in a while to a show looks real good. I mean, even in here, you know, we have a nice blue and everything else, but basically I'm dressed in black, and most of the stuff is paper and blackboard, so this is interesting. And this is one of our change bags, if you will.
Yes.
What we call, transparent forces.
Transparent forces.
And actually the new ones are plainer than the old ones. The old ones had that ribbon sort of around the edge, the black ribbon. At first when they changed them, I thought that I was a little disappointed, but they actually are stronger than the old ones.
Okay.
And it has a little spacer inside. Actually ours come with two, but you can put them in and take them out at will. And so what I did was, in the first half of the bag are all different color Candyland cards that I stole out of my granddaughter's Candyland set. And the back side over here are all blue ones. And what's so great about this kind of bag is you can see it looks so fair, and even when the person reaches in, you know, it looks like they're going in, they could grab anything, but of course they can only get a blue one. So that accounts, you have them reach in and pull out any one they want. And the way I always start this, I show it, and I reach in this side and I say, okay, you can see there, look, I even got, you know, a few of the other cards in there. So now, you know, we're just going to go like this, and you reach in and you pull out a card, and I open it to the back side. And you feel a lot of cards.
Oh, yeah.
And I also tell the person, look away so you can't see what you're getting, and just grab one. So that way they can't see that, hey, wait a minute, I can't get to this one. So I have them look away. And what'd you get?
Blue.
Blue. Okay, remember that. Then I have the Hound of the Baskervilles, which I've had forever. It's a force book. Only the first couple of pages are different, and then every page in the book is exactly the same, okay? So I figured this would be kind of nice because you have the card already in hand. So I say, okay, take the book and just slide the card somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
And now this is how I handle this. And I say, okay, open to that page. And I say, okay, the first word over here, is that top word a long word or a short word?
A short word.
I know, it's because the word yes, when I was setting this up, had to spend a long word, I would have just said, name that out loud.
Right, okay.
But the way I handled it, because it was too short a word to really be effective, I said, you know what, then look at the last line on the page.
Okay.
And look at the first word on that line. Is that a long word?
That's longer, yes.
I say, okay, let's use that one.
Okay.
And that's what character.
Character, yeah.
See, so that's how I handled it. It's so easy to direct people if you just do it nonchalantly. Just, the first word on the page, is that a long word or short?
And it should just seem a natural,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, is it long or short? Short? Okay, that's no good. What about the last line, that first word in the
And it
last line?
seems, yeah, and,
it
and
just
it actually gives them the illusion of all these choices that really aren't there.
Which aren't there, yeah. So, okay, so that's the first two. So all that's left is the number. And this what makes it so convincing, because the card is in the envelope and it's leaned up against something or in plain view. So then it's almost like an afterthought. I say, oh, by the way, you over there, just name any number from 1 to 100, any two-digit number, say something.
62.
And whatever they say, of course, now I'm sitting here and I'm being sloppy, but whatever they say, I've got my nail writer on already, and I just fill in, and like I said, I'm trying to talk to you and do this at the same time, but I fill in the number right where it goes in the square. And then it's an easy matter to keep that hidden, take the card out and read it.
Right.
And they read out 3 persons.
We'll choose the color blue, the word character, and the number 62.
62. And because, it's so much prediction, so many items, because that last person, just before you open the envelope, had called out a number, and everything else seems so fair, that one augments the other.
Right.
The fairness and openness of the two-digit number kind of implies that the other predictions must be equally as fair. And it just all works together. It's a great little effect.
And plus, you give yourself an extra beat pause to
nail
finish
right.
writing the number. And I see you do this. I've seen you do this a number of times when we've worked together. When you say name a number, when they do, and you say why, and it rocks them back on their heels for a second because it doesn't occur to them that they would have to come up with a reason. And so they're parsing the question, but meanwhile, you're way done with nail writing this by then. And they say, oh, I don't know, I just made it up, or it's my father's age, or whatever they say. Mm-hmm. But that's always been an effective tool, I thought, to give you an extra, just couple of moments when it's needed to finish nail writing.
And it occurs to me, too, that if you wanted this to be a bigger stage effect, you could do this with a bigger card. Use a larger nail writer.
Like a grease pencil nail writer.
Or you could even have the whole prediction folded up and inside an envelope with a window, and you could be having this in your hand, and when people call the stuff out, you could be quickly notating like on a notepad, and when you get to that last one, double write it on, there's all kinds of variables.
Sure.
And just so you know, did you notice this is not a regular index card? I actually cut this out of poster board.
Yeah, it felt thicker.
Yeah, just so it would stand up for, going in the envelope and me nail writing it, so
Right.
it wouldn't be like flopping around in there. So, anyways, that's Animan's triple coercion. David.
Yes.
Let's try an experiment here. Let me hand you a piece of paper. What I'd like you to do is to put down on a piece of paper the name of somebody who's close to you, someone, a relative or a close friend, someone who I couldn't possibly know. I'll step over here as you do that. And when you're done, just close that paper up, refold it.
Okay.
Done?
Yep.
Okay. Just fold it all the way up. And there you go. Take this piece of paper, if you will, and what I'd like you to do on that piece of paper is to put down a date of some importance that happened between you and this friend of yours or this person. And once again, I'll step way over here where I can't possibly see anything. Done?
Yep.
Okay, and okay, what I'd like you to do is to take this paper and just put it in your pocket somewhere, and take this one, which is the date, and if you will, if you just like hold it up to your head, okay, and think of the date. And I need your pencil too, I think. I'm sorry.
That's good.
Now, this person, was it a person who was very close to you?
Yes.
I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with this. I'll just put this right over here. April 26th, 1977. What's the significance of that?
That was the day I was born.
The day you were born. Open up the paper that I just wrote and read what it says on there.
4/26/77.
The same date?
Same date.
You have that other paper in your pocket.
I do.
Take it out. And would you just kind of hold it near my head? Is this your mother?
No.
What's the relationship to you?
It's my sister.
Your sister? Are you a twin?
No.
Okay. Well, then, does this have a significance to the date?
Yes, it does.
How so?
She was the one that carried me home from the hospital.
Oh, okay. See, I knew it was a woman, a female, had something to do with your birthday. Would you think of your sister's name? Is it something like Carmel?
Yes.
That is your sister's name?
Yes, Carmel.
Carmel. Thank you very much.
This is a living and dead test that was created by Animan. Again, an impromptu type of routine, virtually. And 2 papers and a spectator. Yes, sir.
And it's very similar to what we just explained about the Burt-Reese effects. The Burt-Reese moves. It's similar to that. I'll show you why that is. Now, when he explains it in the book, he uses a thumb tip switch, but
Yes.
he says right in the book you could really make this much better by using a straight billet switch.
Okay.
And that's what I prefer to do, because unlike the other earlier effect, a question and answer where it was just one switch coming out of the thumb tip, this one would require putting the paper back into the thumb tip
Okay.
and showing it on the palm, and that would be difficult to make look normal. You'd have to swing the thumb tip up and pretend to be refolding the paper to really make it look normal, when in fact a straight switch works so much better. So now I didn't present it as a living and dead test, but it's written in the book as one where you take a paper out like this, and by the way, you do have a dummy already folded up.
Okay.
Okay. Now you hand someone, and that's in the pocket, you hand somebody one of the papers and say, put down a name of someone who is passed on. Okay? So let's say they put somebody named Harry. That work?
All right, sure.
Okay, so they've written that and they've refolded. You don't know what it is, okay? And so what happens here is you palm the dummy, okay, in your hand, and you come back out with these, and what you do, the person has the slip, and you take this from him and you do this and you just do a straight switch on the table as you hand them this paper.
Okay.
And see, it looks like this. You've just written that.
Right.
And here I am coming back at you, and like this, and I'm walking toward you, and I ask you to hand me the slip.
All right.
And as I take it, I say, okay, here, take this one, and put
Okay.
down a date that something important happened between you two.
Okay.
And you see how I just did? I just made a switch and dropped it on the table while I was handing you this paper and saying, write down the date. So now I walk away while you're
Okay.
doing that.
Right.
And I walk away so I can't see what you're doing. This is a one-on-one thing.
Okay.
And of course here, I'm just going to open it up and I see the name.
Okay.
And as you're writing the date down. And I can do all this,
Okay.
you know, I'm standing in the corner, I can unfold it and look at it because I'm like off in the corner so I can't see what you're doing.
Right.
Now I turn around,
Okay.
and you're done with that. And what I do is I come back and I pick up this one and I say, okay, put this in your pocket somewhere.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah. Okay.
And then I say, and this one, I don't know, why don't you put it under the bookshelf or something? I do another switch.
Okay.
And now I've got the date switch, the date slip. I reach in my pocket for the slips. I open this up against the slips, come out, like before with the earlier test, and you see, there it is in front of me,
Yep.
May 1st, 1956.
Right.
And I take a blank paper and I write down May 1st, 1956, and put these away, fold this up, and say, okay, I'm going to go with this. Then I take back the one that you just put away, the date slip.
Right.
Which is this one.
Yeah. Yes.
And I open it up and I read off the date. Supposedly it's nothing, it's a blank paper, but I read off the date and say, look what I wrote.
Right.
And you open this one up and it's the same date. Oh, I didn't write it
Yeah.
down, but you.
You're right.
And then, now I'm left with you still holding this paper.
Right.
That I know the name of.
That's right.
See, I got it a long time ago. And I can end by saying, okay, now just hold that paper up near my forehead. Do it, and it's, wait, your uncle or whatever. He said, Harry. You see?
Yep.
Very, very straightforward. Very powerful.
And you have the name and the date, so it kind of connects people to
There's a reason for two things. And the nice thing is that switch happens, whereas I hand you this paper and say, write a date, and I just casually take that away and do that switch. And then later I switch it back again, and then immediately do a switch with the other paper. So the switches come at just the right time, and they're offbeat, and they're not straightforward.
Now, because it's called Two Papers and a Spectator, is this something that's best done for one
Yes.
person, one sitter? Yeah.
Exactly. This is a one-sitter routine. This is not something you do in front of an audience with one person. This is something that you're alone with one single person, and you want to show them something miraculous. This is what you do.
Okay.
I can see this happening like in this person's living room. You know, you
Right.
say, okay, let me show you something. Here's a paper. Put somebody's name on who I couldn't possibly know, a relative. Okay, here. Now take this paper, write a date where you knew that person, and you walk off, come back, okay, put this one away, and take this one and hold it somewhere. And let me just write down my impressions of the date. What is it? Boom, there it is, okay, or I take it and open it and look at what I wrote. Now you still got a paper in your hand that I've never touched, not really true, hold it up to my head. You see, it's very effective for one single person. Too much for that person to backtrack and follow. And afterwards they'll swear he never touched the papers. It was incredible. So that's two papers and a spectator.
Correct.